historically, Automotive has not wanted to give a lot of information out because they feel like it takes away kind of that competitive advantage, that ability to negotiate. But I'm really seeing a large shift now. I think they're really understanding that you need to give options to your customer.
Hello and welcome to the Walk Around podcast powered by JM&A Group. I am one of your hosts, Mark Spoto, joined, of course, by one of my co-hosts, Heather Wilkinson.
Good afternoon.
We're back, Heather. We are thrilled to have with us as our first guest of the day, Laurie Halter. Welcome, Laurie.
Thank you, guys. I'm so excited to be here.
Laurie is the founder of Charisma Communications, which, if you haven't heard of Charisma, I'm sure most of you have. It is a PR agency specializing in automotive technology. So we've got a lot to talk about.
Yes.
What are you excited about in the industry for 2025?
I do a lot of work with fixed ops technology companies.
Okay.
And I think as we're seeing new cars kind of pull back, we're not seeing the ease that we did for the last several years. Mm-hmm. The fixed ops things that are coming to market, especially that are AI driven, are going to be a huge game changer, I think, in the next year or two. So the one thing I'm most excited about in the industry is just the amount of AI-driven technology, specifically that's coming to the service lanes. It's going to be really cool to see.
Well, tell us a little bit more about the AI technology that you've seen come into the service lane, because if you think about fixed operations and how the expense structure of a dealership really depends on that absorption rate.
Absolutely.
It depends, especially with new car profitability changing and shifting in the market in the last several years. Many dealers are here looking to find out, how can I be the most efficient in my service department? How can I drive retention? So what have you seen from an AI perspective that can help a dealer with his absorption, his efficiency gains, and that customer retention or loyalty, any of that?
Yeah, I love that. So there's things as simple as True Video, which is one of the companies here. They're doing things like noise reduction using AI in videos. So they'll take the walk around video and then reduce the noise. So there's that simplification. But also when you're talking about especially customer loyalty and retention, a lot of them are now doing outbound communications, AI outbound communications. They'll find the people ready to come in to get their car serviced, and they'll say in the text to automatically set your appointment, click here. They'll click into the text and it goes into the scheduler. So here you have a situation where you've just brought someone back in without any human contact needed. Now, once they're in, I'm a big proponent of keep the people in the process. Once they're in, I think that hand-holding and that personal touch is needed. But we're now looking at, you've got people scheduling themselves for appointments without ever having a need from the service drive.
Yeah, that's interesting. Are you finding that more and more dealers are trying to accommodate consumers who want mobile services where they want, maintenance or anything regarding their car to be done at their home and to be able to deliver that? Because, similar to buying a car, you want options on how you participate and interact with your dealer. So is that a trend that you're seeing? Like dealers are trying to figure that out?
Yes, and a lot have already figured it out. Now the hard thing behind it is the logistics. So getting the people to drive there, how do you get the mobile mechanics? How do they get to your driveway? But we're definitely seeing that's already happening. And Amazon, in fact, is putting out a program where you can put into Amazon, I need an oil change. Mm-hmm. They will have someone come to your driveway, do the oil change in your driveway, keep you updated the whole time with a tracker, and then let you know when they're done and clean up and go away. I mean, that's what I want.
Right.
I want someone to come to my driveway and change the oil.
But on the other hand, you also will have the consumer who prefers going to their local dealer, right? And they want that in-person experience. So again, it's another example of a dealer has to have options, right?
I would totally agree.
To meet the consumer based on their preference.
I would totally agree. And the mobile options, even though they're available now, they're not being, to your point, they're not being picked up as quickly as was expected. And I think it's because there's still a lot of people who want to go in and meet their service. They want to take their car in and have that experience in the store.
Yeah, that relationship is very critical, especially during the first 3 to 4 years of ownership.
Yes.
So how do you balance? I know you work with technology companies and dealers.
Yeah.
How do you balance the advancement in technology and helping a dealership grow their business, but then, as you mentioned, and we would agree, keeping that people engagement? How do you do that?
I love that. So I think the technology piece is really to help with any processes and streamline the processes. You cannot take the people out of that part of the equation. So when I'm telling people, especially with AI, especially when we talk about AI, AI should never replace the people in your dealership. It should just make their jobs easier. Mm-hmm. So, can we make their jobs easier, but don't take out that human element? And we're seeing some people that are even trying to do sort of what they call sentiment AI, which is it's trying to sound more and more like a person would sound in the text. But I'm personally a huge fan of keep the people in it and then just make their jobs easier.
Mm-hmm. When you think about 2025, are you hearing from your customers and dealers that we have an optimistic look for the year? Are people positive?
I would say no.
Really? This is
Okay,
good perspective.
So I am I'm a very positive person.
But you're a realist.
Being optimistic. But
Let's hear it.
The dealers I'm talking to are not very excited about this year.
Well, tell us more.
Because they're seeing that they've had a really easy time the last several years selling cars. It's not been difficult.
So
to
the
sell
competitiveness is going to.
The competitiveness. Okay. And what's happened, what I'm hearing is they've been hiring on these new hires, right? That have been selling cars so easily for the last couple of years. It didn't take. I don't want to say it didn't take a lot of skill, but people wanted cars. So that is going away. And what I'm hearing from my dealers is they're in need of training. They really need training to be able to know how to work with those people to sell the car. Now, fixed ops should probably be being very optimistic because dealerships need to really focus on their fixed ops departments these next several years in order to be profitable. Mm-hmm. So they're feeling very optimistic. But on the new retail side, I'm not hearing like a lot of excitement.
Well, Heather, you know a thing or two about training.
Yes,
yes, we do. Yes, you do.
Yes, we do. And thinking about the training, I think that's that people engagement and ensuring that there's a process there that they're following each and every time.
Correct.
But are your dealers also concerned, not only because maybe their staff isn't ready to handle customer objections like they did historically? Do you think affordability plays into this as well?
Oh, yeah, huge. I mean, just think of people are being hit with prices higher than we've been used to as well for a very long time. I mean, just thinking of leasing, the leases are higher, people's mortgages are higher, their interest rates are higher. And so, I think affordability is going to be a major concern this next year. And well beyond, actually, this next year, to be honest.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And looking at technology that's out there, what would be your position, Laurie, on dealers when consumers are on their website and they're trying to look at, and we're talking a little bit about digital retailing.
Yeah.
They're looking at their budget. What's your perspective, or how do you advise or guide your dealers from maybe a technology or process perspective on how far should the customer be able to go to understand their payment, their budget, et cetera? Any thoughts on that?
I mean, I think speaking to what you said before, we need to give everyone options, right? Because you're going to have, I'm a person like this. I want to go the whole way through. I want to know every single thing up into, most people are looking at their monthly payment. When they're looking at a vehicle, they're not looking at their overall payment. But I think we let them go as far as they want to go. And I know historically, Automotive has not wanted to give a lot of information out because they feel like it takes away kind of that competitive advantage, that ability to negotiate. But I'm really seeing a large shift now. I think they're really understanding that you need to give options to your customers. And if someone want to go the entire way through for a payment, they need to go the entire way through for a payment.
I understand.
Yeah.
Laurie, I'm curious, something that I'm particularly interested in. I have a background in marketing and communication, so I'm curious what you think for 2025. Is there a trend? What's kind of happening in the content landscape? How do dealers continue to find ways to stand out and companies stand out to, to generate awareness, to get engagement?
Yep.
Are there new trends? Are there things that you guys are trying that you're excited?
I think, so not necessarily a new trend, but video has been and continues to be really important. And video over social media. So you see some of these media teams, and I wish I could remember the dealership name, there is a social media team right now at one of the dealerships. I'll get it to you guys. And they're killing it. They're crushing it with content because they're doing fun. They just recently did something kind of centered around like The Office.
Oh, we saw that.
Do you
They're
know
out of
who that
Michigan.
is? Yes.
What was the name of that
It's
dealership?
a Chevrolet dealer out of Michigan.
Look at you, girl. Go.
I know exactly who I can't remember
We
the
actually
name.
invited them on the podcast, but
Oh,
we
did
didn't
they?
hear.
Now that,
We didn't hear back. They're so popular right now. Maybe they can.
And maybe once they hear the podcast.
Ryan, do you have the
they'll join us.
name?
We're doing.
Mohawk.
Mohawk, that's
yes,
right.
we understand.
Thank you,
Mohawk.
Thank you, Ryan, our
I'm
executive
so-
producer over in the background there.
I'm so glad you had their name.
Yeah,
because
so
they
if you're
deserve the
listening to
credit.
this, Mohawk, we would
Mohawk.
love to talk to you.
Mohawk,
and
get on
find
this
out your
podcast.
story.
Do it. But no, so I think they're a great example of, I think just the dealerships who are doing it right, are doing an amazing job combining video and social media.
You know what was also interesting? We were talking with Sam Dark of Ziegler Automotive.
Oh, yeah.
And he was telling us how much, so they started their own internal type of podcast.
Okay.
Then they started to put that out there for anyone to see it.
Yeah.
And it actually became one of the best opportunities for advertising because people started to get to know them. They started to connect with the individuals kind of behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And it, again, it became another avenue to create engagement rather than the traditional typical car advertising.
I love that because that's what we're talking about, right? They introduced their people behind the scenes.
Right.
Yes. People were connecting to the people that were in their dealership. And so that's probably why it was so successful.
So video is a trend. What about channels? With the popularity of YouTube and who knows what's going to happen with TikTok? Like, where do you think dealers should be paying attention to any particular channel or just continue to try to, do this omni-channel approach?
Well, I mean, I think particular channels is always important, right? I think it's important to really zero in. But I'm going to go back to just the content needs to be there. If you have good content, the channel doesn't matter as much because it's going to resonate as you go forward. I know a lot of people are on TikTok. Is TikTok even still in the U.S.?
We don't know. As of today, we're not sure of the future of TikTok. I know my 17-year-old son is waiting with bated breath to
my daughter
understand
is
what's
17
happening.
as well, and she is dying over this whole TikTok thing. So, but I was going to say, I know TikTok has been pretty successful for some of the companies. But again, you just have to have the content correct for the different channels.
So what would you advise dealers? Because we've had conversations with Mary Rice, for example, and she is a Toyota dealer who, at first was very apprehensive to put herself out there and then became very comfortable with being kind of that person in front of the camera and just talking about, she literally just talks about the features of the car.
She's becoming a brand
Correct.
for herself, and that's what I'm hearing you say around relevant content is Mary Rice for Toyota of Greensboro is creating a brand around why buy a Toyota, not only buy a Toyota, but buy a Toyota from Mary Rice, the person.
What's your advice to dealers to kind of get started in something like, how do you create good content?
Yeah, I think it's just really focus in on the people. It's what we've been talking about. So it doesn't even matter. Don't worry so much about, getting all of the right. I've talked to so many that get the right equipment and they're ready to start the podcast and they have all the microphones, but then they don't ask the good questions. So it flops. So I think it's really about think about who are the people in your dealership? Who are the personalities? Who's got the personality? Because not everyone has the personality to be in front of the camera.
Right.
And then really focus in on how can you use that individual in the best way to show the branding of your dealership and of your vehicles.
Great segue because you're talking about people.
Yeah.
And you do a segment. You've got sort of another career, and it's called People in Automotive.
Yes.
Part of Dealer Marketing Magazine.
Yep.
Tell us about that and why you enjoy doing that and kind of what you learn, because this business is so much about people, right? And the connections
really
between consumers and those that work in a dealership and within the dealership itself, right? The connections that you make with your colleagues. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I love this segment so much because it's all about the person. And so it's more, instead of saying kind of tell us about your product and trends, I really dig into tell us about you. Who are you when you're not in the dealership? What is your job? It's the stories of the people we meet on the hallways here in NADA, but what is their stories behind the scenes?
Yeah, everyone has a story.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'd love to know, Laurie, is your story. How did you even get into automotive? And then it's so interesting, you've connected PR, technology, automotive, and created this company out of it where it's now content branding, social media. I feel like you've grabbed all of these different aspects and created your brand. How did you get into automotive?
So funny enough, embarrassingly, I'm going to age myself here. I've been in automotive since 1999, and I started with Chrome Data, if you guys even remember Chrome. I mean, this was so long ago. I was at a job fair in Portland, Oregon, because I moved without a job, and found this small company called Chrome. And I just said, what do you guys do? Long story short, they ended up hiring me. They didn't have a position, but they hired me because they liked my personality, right? It's back to people. They hired me as like a marketing assistant. And I was under an amazing woman named Phyllis McKenna, she saw something in me and wanted to help, really wanted to help, like bring me forward and grow me. So I was there for 3 years. She was trying to push me in product management direction. Anyone who knows me knows that's not my jam. Product management is not my thing. But I stayed there for 3 years and then told her that I really, really was having trouble being under someone and in a job and being at the office every day. So she laid me off so I could get severance, and they became my first client of Charisma Communications.
Wow.
And so,
this is another first, I believe, where you actually appreciate someone who laid you off. Right? Like, Laura, you are just full of firsts.
I'm bringing you all the content you need. I got this. We're still friends today. I see her all the time. She comes I live in Bend, Oregon. She comes through to Sun River all the time. We go to lunch. But talk about someone who really was like a champion of me. So I started Charisma Communications in 2003. And I just never,
You've been at it ever since.
I've been at it ever since. And I joke with people, I don't think you get out of automotive. Once you're in automotive, they just keep reeling you back in. There's no getting away.
Well, Laurie, we could talk to you all day, I'm sure, but I know you've got a busy schedule. We can't thank you enough for joining us.
I really appreciate it.
It's been super fun. And is there anywhere you would want people to go to check you out? Website, online, like what's your handles? Tell us where people can find you.
They can find me at our website, charismacommunications.com. But I like having people find me on LinkedIn, just Laurie Halter on LinkedIn, and reach out, DM me, find me.
Okay. Laurie Halter on LinkedIn and charismacommunications.com.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Laurie.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Laurie. It was great having you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
We really appreciate you joining us today on The Walk Around, and we hope you enjoyed the episode. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow us. We look forward to seeing you next time on The Walk Around.